And welcome to the Metal Mixtape here on KSKQ 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon, streaming online on kskqdjramo. It's the boy, it's the Don, DJ Ramo. I am honored and beyond privileged to have the one and only legendary shredder, singer. This guy can do it all, the one and only Richie Kotzen. What is up, my brother?
How you doing? Thank you for having me on.
Dude, I'm excited. This is actually the second time I've interviewed you.
Oh, good.
When was
the first one?
The first one was April 27th, 2001. And it was when we were talking about Smith and Kotzen.
Oh, you mean 2021? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said 2001. I was like, whoa, that's a long time ago.
It was 2021 when we were talking about the Smith and Kotzen album.
Yeah, that's right. Right on. Well, it's great to be back on your show once again. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, our first interview was awesome, man. And just quick before we get into a whole lot of questions about like your solo album, while I was just listening to you last night a bunch, I stumbled upon a video of Smith and Kotzen playing "Wasted Years" by Iron Maiden.
Yeah, we did that when we did a little run of dates in California, and then we went over to the UK and did the same thing. We had only one album to choose from for material, so we got a little clever and added some other stuff, and that was one of the songs we put in. It was a lot of fun, actually, to do that.
Dude, it was, dude, I'm a huge fan of Nico also, so watching you guys up there having a blast was just like, it's like magical, you know? It's like, it's insane, man. Like, I feel like you're, like, I mean, you yourself are a juggernaut of a musician, but are you just constantly always jamming with other people?
No, I'm really not. And I'm not really, I'm not a jamming guy. Like, I don't go out to the local, jam nights too often. But, I'm always writing, and that's kind of it. I get these ideas, and, when the inspiration strikes, I go in the studio and kind of document things. And then what tends to happen is enough time goes by that I get enough ideas together, and then suddenly I look and I've got 7 or 8 or more songs, and then I start thinking in terms of do I have enough material for an album, and if I do, then I release it, obviously, like I did with Nomad.
So I know there's artists out there that will write like a whole lot of music and pick like his best songs. Do you just like every one of your songs and you just kind of like, until you have enough for an album, you put it out that way, or how do you go about like choosing what songs choose with each other specifically?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because just because you write something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you want to release it. So, it really came to light when I did 50 for 50, when I went back and realized how many songs that I finished and never released, and then how many songs that I started to write and never finished. And that was really the driving force behind making that record back in 2020. So fast forward to now, I had 2 songs written and recorded, and they were Nihilist and Nomad. And those were on my hard drive for a few years. They've existed for quite some time. And then, I came off the road, and I started going through some ideas, and I found the song that became On the Table, which is on the new record. That was originally, halfway written, halfway recorded. And then I wrote a few others that kind of came to me. And really the first motivation to putting the album out was I wanted to put a single out to get in front of my European tour this past summer. And so I ended up writing Cheap Shots. So once that was written, I started looking at, the fact that I had Nihilist and Nomad recorded. And I thought, well, maybe if I kind of get in a different mentality, a different mindset, maybe some other ideas will come to me. And that kind of led me to what we have now with the Nomad album.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love it. Thanks for perfectly stated. So did you play all the instruments on this album? Because the only reason I'm asking before we get into other songs, because in your video Cheap Shots, it shows you rotating around instruments.
Yeah.
Did you write everything?
Yes, well, yeah, I did, except for on two songs. There's on the song Nomad. I had originally programmed the drums,
Okay.
and then at the last minute, I decided, I just don't want to put out a song with programmed drums. At least not that kind of a song. Maybe something else I would do that with. But I called my friend Dan Petrucci to come in and play drums and replace what I had written. So technically, there are parts that I wrote. He learned them, played them much better than I could have played them, and added a bit of his own to it. And so that became the recording that you have now on the record. And a similar situation happened on the song These Doors with Kyle Hughes coming in and playing drums. Everything else is me. And obviously I'm the only singer, guitar player, the only bass player, and so on. But, it's part of my process. Mm-hmm. I have these ideas and I want to get them out. I want to get them recorded. And sometimes it's a little easier, believe it or not, for me just to go in the studio and do it myself. It seems to be a little more fluid that way. And so that's why I do it.
When you, I've been playing guitar for, I think, almost 21 years now, and I just got back into the studio, and it kind of brought up this question I'm going to ask now. It's like, you have a lot of shredding leads, a lot of shredding solos, a lot of bendings, a lot of little accents in here and there that you add. Are you like a one take guy? Are you a piece it together guy? Like when you're going to do a solo, like is it difficult, or are you pretty straightforward on it, or do you write it on the spot? Big question.
Well, yeah, sure. First of all, it's usually the last thing on my mind when I'm recording. It's the thing that I usually wait to the very end to focus on the solo. And when I approach it, it really is, let me see what happens. That's my attitude. So I'll set everything up. I'll listen to what I'm going to play against once or twice. And then I'll just go for it. And I'll record it. And typically, not always, but typically what happens is when I do that, I get a big chunk of something that actually is pretty inspired. And then the parts that feel like I was a little unsure, or maybe I got distracted, I'll go back and replace them. And occasionally I'll hear a specific thing and I'll have to work it out. Like I might, like in the song These Doors, there's a melody there that is at the beginning of the guitar solo. That was originally, I was singing it, like just humming it, and I realized, okay, well, this will be better suited for the guitar to play it. So, but that's generally the approach. I kind of like the feeling of being inspired and in the moment and trying to capture that.
I love that. No, that's my favorite way of writing solos as well, man. It's kind of like just being in the moment, in the song, like. I've always been like, because I've been playing long enough where like I know my scales, I know what like my capabilities are, and I think when you're playing it in the moment, that's when like you really capture something real.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes when you're trying to think of something, you end up not thinking of what you actually want to do until like you're just messing around.
Yeah, you're better off just going for it and see what happens. Hey, look, it's not worst case scenario. You try it again. It's not the end of the world if you make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, your song Insomnia it's so funkadelic, man. I'm not gonna lie, but you know what I loved about it, man, is that like in the video as well, you had like such swagger about you, and you were having so much fun up there, dude.
Like, well, it's funny you said funkadelic, because one of the greatest concerts I ever saw was Bootsy Collins when he played at the House of Blues in Los Angeles back in the 90s. And, I actually had the privilege of making a record with Bernie Worrell from Parliament Funkadelic. And so... that band and that sort of music is a big influence for me. And so I'm glad that you picked that up, because that certainly is part of my inspiration is, Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament Funkadelic, obviously Prince, who was inspired by those bands as well. I think there's definitely a big part of that sort of music that's kind of in my DNA somehow. Probably growing up outside of Philadelphia when I was young, I listened to a lot of that kind of music. So, there you have it.
No, I love it, man. It's very soulful, man. I called it like a rock and roll soul train, man.
Good. There you go. I like that.
Yeah. No, it was like I was enjoying it, but I honestly like the music was incredible. The sweet solos and the shreds, but also like I really like that like how immersed you were in the music and in the video. Like it really all came together. It didn't seem like. It seemed like you were just having a great time. You knew exactly how you wanted to portray yourself in the video in certain sections. And it just, dude, I think overall it all came together. I do like the more standard videos of just recording a performance. Or right here, it showed like it was very aspect and just such different songs than like Cheap Shots and On the Table. Just other ones that you did. Like this one was a very like left field.
Good. Well, hey, as long as you like it, that's what is important. And, the thing about videos, it's very interesting because, someone, you're writing a song and now, you want another vision along with it. So it can sometimes be a tricky endeavor. But, we had a lot of fun shooting it. We found a location in downtown Los Angeles, and they had all those little setups were in the warehouse, and then we kind of brainstormed and thought, wow, great, we can make this like it's some sort of wacky kind of dreamscape type thing where the verses I'm kind of acting out the fact that I can't sleep, as literal as that is, and then all of a sudden it turns into this kind of fantasy performance situation. Anyway, there's other videos. We did I wanted to have a visual element for every song on the record, so basically what we've got is the three that you've seen. Yep. And now the song Nihilist has a lyric video with a bit of a guitar element to it that'll come out when the record is released. And I also shot 2 more videos, very simple, but something to go along with 2 other songs on the album. So there's going to be more stuff down the pipeline.
I'm excited, and the album will be out September 27th, so everybody got to check out Nomad. No, I love it, man, and I've been talking about you for the last couple of weeks, and everybody just constantly brings up, like, how good of a singer and shredder you are. You've done all these projects, right? And I feel like you've been a big vocal point in a lot of the projects you've been at. Like, is there ever a time, like, maybe, like, you ever played with, like, the Winery Dogs or something where, like, you held a song that you wanted it to be on your solo album instead of like in a band? Like how do you fight yourself over songs that you're writing, as far as like how am I going to choose certain songs for projects? Because if I was you and I was in your head, I'd be like, man, like I have this great song, it's like, should I put it in one of my projects or should I put it in my solo project? Like, does that ever go through your head?
Well, I've lived that, and I'll tell you, I lived that with the Winery Dogs specifically, and on the first album, and I can tell you this. I mean, this is exactly what happened. We got together and we had the idea to do this group, and we actually got in my room at my house and at my studio, and we jammed, and then we documented it. And there were a handful of things that we worked on together that evolved into songs where I took them and I wrote lyrics and melodies and words. But also on that first record, there were other songs that were finished that I gave to the band. Damaged is a song that was completely done, written, and I gave it to the band, as was most of Elevate, I'm No Angel, Regret, the music to We Are One was already set on a template. So in that first album, it was 50-50 songs that were come together from us from the beginning, and then other songs that I had written the majority of it and brought it in and donated it to the band. After that first cycle happened, I sort of realized that sort of thing doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for me to do. And so on the second album, I made a conscious effort to make sure that everything that ended up on that record was stuff that came together with all three of us in the room at the same time. With the exception of the song Fire, that was something that I brought in. And but everything else was stuff that kind of came from ground up. Actually, Captain Love as well. I remember being in the kitchen and running into the room with the idea for that song. But I changed my tack because I figured, look, if I write a song and it's done, the words are written, the melody is written, then why not just keep that for another time? And if we're going to really truly be a band, and we're going to say things like we made the record in 1 month because we all went in the studio and did it together, then let's really do that. Let's really make that kind of a record. So I did change my attitude a little bit. With Adrian, because there's only two of us, there's a little more back and forth. And so what happens there is he'll come in with a riff and an idea for a verse, and then maybe I'll come in with a chorus on the same thing. Or, you know, on the new record, there's one or two songs that I had developed thinking about Adrian and him and I working together, and then vice versa. So it's a little different when there's just two people. But, you know, my attitude with a band is, hey, no, wait a minute, let's let it be a band then. Let everybody, you know, have a say.
I like it. No, yeah, because that's always just been a big wonder about, like, especially like just like a pioneer in music like yourself, and just how you're able to do music with so many projects, but also just release so much of your own music. It's always just been a huge thing in my head, like, you know, because I don't know if, like, sometimes you have like a really favorite song or a song that means a lot to you, and you know how you want to portray it, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, what happens is, you know, and I'm not unique to this. You get ideas, you hear something in your head, and, you know, sometimes it's very easy to write. Other times it kind of haunts you, and you have to force yourself to work on it so that it goes away. But my end game has always been getting the speakers to reproduce what I'm hearing in my head. That's really, it's no more complicated than that for me.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. So far, you know, off the new album, I've only heard Insomnia, Cheap Shots, and On the Table. One of the things that really caught my eye on Cheap Shots was like how hard you were going on your shredding. Like I haven't seen you shred like that in a while. Like what was there a certain like motivation that made you do that on that song? Because like it felt like you didn't pull back at all.
Yeah, I know. And that solo is like the song. I mean, the song is really like a punch in the gut, you know, lyrically, the attitude. And so when the solo came, I just had that kind of same attitude that I wanted to convey. I wanted to do something that was hard and aggressive, and because I thought it fit with the lyric of the song. You know, I didn't think that like a melodic, you know, friendly solo would be appropriate, and I really felt like at this point, you know, I need to, you know, to do him in, my opponent, whoever it may be, you know. And so you notice it. You're right. You're on the money. I did really go for it on that one, and you know, I think it fit well. You know, I wouldn't do that on every song, but for that one, in that instance, that was the choice I made.
You know what? When I heard it, the first thing that came to my mind was like, man, I bet this guy can play any genre of rock or metal or country, whatever the hell he wants if he wanted.
You know, there's certain things that I'm comfortable with, and certain things that I don't really, you know, gravitate towards. For me, it's always been something has to have a certain sense of swagger to it.
Yeah.
You know, a certain sense of, you know, rhythm that kind of activates me. So, you know, if something is too heavy for the sake of being heavy, it just kind of goes over my head. It doesn't move me. It doesn't excite me.
Yep.
And then on the other hand, you know, if something's like overtly trying to be, you know, funky and it's not honest, that doesn't work either. But, you know, at the root of what I do, Stevie Wonder was my first concert, followed by George Benson. So I have to say, I always feel like everything that I do, even if it's rock and even if it's heavy, somewhere in there it's going to have some kind of an influence in that sort of, old school soul music. That's kind of at the root of whatever I do.
Absolutely. On this new album, when it comes out September 27th, is there a certain song that means a lot to you that wasn't released as a single that you would recommend people listening to, that maybe a song that like kind of meant more to you than the others on the album?
Yeah, I mean, one of the songs that stands out to me, because, they all mean different things, and it's like kids, there's only 8 of them, so I don't want to, sell anybody short. But one of the songs that does resonate with me, and I said earlier, it's the oldest song, it was the first one written in this collection, is the song Nihilist. And for whatever reason, it has to do with beyond the actual song itself, what was written, just the performance of it is, for me, something that's very interesting. And I when I did that, I really was very excited about it when it was done, and I held on to it for a few years because I just didn't know the right circumstance to release it, and it felt to me like something that needed to be released as a group with other compositions. And so now finally I have the opportunity to put it out there.
I love it, man. I love it. Nomad coming out September 27th. We're talking to Richie Kotzen. Before we end the interview, we got maybe 5 to 7 minutes left. Can I just ask you a bunch of random questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm only asking this one because this one's in the news right now. But have you heard the new Linkin Park that was released with new lead singer Emily Armstrong yet?
I have. Are you saying that there's new music?
Yeah, Linkin Park just got a new lead singer.
Wow. Well, great. I have not heard the music. No, I did not.
Okay. Yeah. You'll have to check it out. There's a lot of people that aren't liking it, and there's a lot of people that are. I think it's just because I don't know. Chester's irreplaceable, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah. I mean, but I think a lot of times, when a band makes that kind of a transition, it always reminds me of, when David Lee Roth split from Van Halen and Sammy Hagar came in, and somehow, the band kind of went in another direction, and it worked. So we'll see. I don't know enough about the situation that you're talking of.
Oh, okay.
I gotta assume they know what they're doing, right?
Yeah. This one right here. So Mike Portnoy just rejoined Dream Theater. Did he?
Yeah.
Did you talk to him at all before he went and joined Dream Theater, or did you?
Yeah, of course, we were on tour together. Okay. Mike and I are very close. Yeah.
So, did he just tell you spontaneously, or was this something that you knew that he always wanted to get back to?
Well, I mean, I knew when I knew.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean? I didn't, I didn't predict it, but at some point along the way, I knew it when I knew it. But my attitude was, because I love Mike and we're friends before anything, was excitement, because I know that is that's his thing. That's where he came from. It's such a special, amazing band and a group of guys when they do what they do. And so when it was confirmed, as much as it was sad to know that, he and I wouldn't be performing together as the Winery Dogs, I was equally as, filled with, joy for him, because I know how special that is,
I love it, man. That's awesome. It's always nice to, everybody in the industry always supporting each other for the most part.
It's a much better feeling. I mean, I just really, at the age that I'm at, with the experiences that I have, it just feels so much better to be happy about things than to be selfish about things, if you know what I'm saying.
No, that is 100% the truth, and I can't tell you how much hearing you say that means, because like I've been trying to practice that lately, and I'm in my mid 30s now, and like, but it didn't happen till like I was getting into my 30s, where like it's just kind of letting things go, don't hold grudges, and just let life live and just be happy for
You're a happier man, and it takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting to hang on to the negativity. It's just exhausting, and it's not something that I would recommend anybody do.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. It seems like every year more and more artists are starting to use like backing tracks or maybe like backing vocals. I have nothing against it, but I do respect both sides of it. Like, but it does seem like it's happening more frequently.
Sure.
How do you go about it? Like, have you ever mess with backing tracks, or how do you feel about using them live?
You know, I've never done it, and the problem for me is I don't think it would work, because when I play live, I change things constantly. I mean, I change arrangements, I change solo sections, I change the set list. I mean, it just wouldn't be feasible in the world that I'm in to do that. It would probably be a catastrophe. I could picture it being a complete disaster. But, you know, I'm not opposed to it in certain situations, because I think about it this way. If I was going to go see Stanley Clarke and Chick Corea and Lenny White and Al Di Meola, if I went to that concert to see those guys play together and they were using backing tracks, I would get up and leave, because I would feel cheated. However, if I go to an arena and I see a band and there's a couple things that may be pre-recorded, like maybe a sound effect, or maybe some gang background vocals in a chorus, or some kind of, 808 low thump kick drum that the real drum doesn't produce. Those kinds of things to me are completely fair game, because what you're doing, this is a popular act. It's not a pop act, but whatever. I guess you could call it a pop rock act. And, it's making the experience better for the person in the audience. It's going to sound better. It's going to bring back those feelings that they had when they listened to the record. The more it sounds like the record in that genre of music, the happier people will probably be, So from my perspective, it doesn't bother me one bit. It's not something that I think that I could exploit with my band for the reasons that I said. But if somebody else is doing it and it makes the show better at the end of the day, in that genre of music, it doesn't bother me.
Rock and roll, brother. Rock and roll. Richie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me and the Metal Mixtape. I can't wait to air your interview this Thursday on the FM and all over all the streaming platforms. Last but not least, before I let you go, Richie, can you say this is Richie Kotzen and you are listening to the Metal Mixtape?
Hi, this is Richie Kotzen and you are listening to the Metal Mixtape.
Hell yeah, brother. You have a beautiful day. I can't wait to keep following you on all the social medias. Listen to Nomad, coming out September 27th. Richie, you're always super nice, just a super humble guy. And just thank you so much for helping me continue my dream and giving me the honor to help you promote your new album.
Thank you very much. I'll see you around. Bye.
Bye.